But in studio now I have Paul Freeney, and he's a freelance photographer from Santry Domain. Hello, Paul, how are you?
How are you doing?
Now, you have an exhibition. Before we talk about that, give us a bit of background to yourself.
Well, I'm Dublin born and bred. I spent 20 years in the pharmaceutical industry. I spent about 10 years as self-employed van driver, and that all ended with redundancy, unfortunately, January 12 months ago.
Same as myself, in different ways. In the course of my life, you're much younger than I am. But were you involved in photography at that time, or because of the way things were going, did you steer yourself towards and find it?
Well, I've 30 years. I've been an amateur photographer, and when I became redundant, I decided that I needed to do some sort of a project to keep myself focused, and. I saw the wildlife in Northwood as being an ideal subject, and decided that I was going to record the wildlife in Northwood over the course of 12 months in words and pictures.
Okay, just explain to our listeners where you mean now by Northwood, because a lot of people would know it as different names.
Sure. Northwood is at the north end of Santry Domain. It's actually right beside the old JFK Stadium, Morton Stadium as it's known now. It's an artificial lake which was formed by widening the Santry River to form a boating lake for the people, the genteel ladies in the house up in what is now Santry Domain, you know.
What was it like, if you remember, I can't remember when it changed all there now, because it was up there, as I said to you before we came in there recently, and everything seems to have changed a hell of a lot. But when did the real change come? Would it have been 20 years ago when as you say, the artificial lake? How long is that there, for instance?
Oh, well, the artificial lake is no, that was part of... That's there probably 150 years. But Fingal came along a number of years ago and renovated it. I remember walking up there in 94 or 5, and it was completely wasteland, you know.
Yeah, that's what comes into my mind when I'd be driving up there, like ahead of you. Now, I was in it recently. You can walk into it from the front on Coolock on Santry Road. You can go in through from the Crown Plaza. There's another gate. I don't know if there's any more entrances, but
there's 3 or 4 entrances, yeah.
But it's much used now, I believe, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah. It's a well-used facility, and only rightly so, because it's a beautiful spot, you know.
Yeah. And the photography now, when you said you were looking for a project, had you been an amateur photographer, or was that all new to you? You had been? Yeah,
I had been an amateur photographer, and had recently moved into digital from film, you know, and digital is so cheap to operate that you don't have to worry about processing and buying films, etc., etc. You take the pictures, you bring them home. If they're rubbish, you delete them. If they're good, you keep them and process them, etc.
So, the initial cost of the changeover, most people have these cameras now. Is it? I know it's much cheaper because you don't have to worry about where you're going and if they're going to be processed right because you're doing it all yourself. So, is it just the initial cost that's expensive, or is it cheaper digital?
Yes, it's the camera gear. The camera gear is probably cheaper than the equivalent film gear like 20 or 30 years ago. So once you have the equipment, there's no outlay apart from having a computer at home, you know.
Well, the only thing I'll say to our listeners now is that if you get a chance to go to this exhibition, which we will be talking about in a minute, is please do go, because if you like wildlife, you like photographs, and I've just been looking at some before we came on air, and it's a pity we're not on TV because they're absolutely wonderful, absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And that was an excellent sort of wildlife. That's the way we're going to go.
I suppose it was. I had done all sorts of photography, but very little wildlife, and there's such an opportunity to see wildlife in Northwood. It was just a great subject.
And how each time you go down to take photographs, how long would you spend there?
I would spend an hour to an hour and a half a day, almost every day of the last year, you know, apart from the odd little holiday or weekend. And then during the exciting times, let's say when the ducklings or the cygnets were being born, I'd be down maybe 2 or 3 times a day. And I got to know the wildlife almost by name. In fact, I named the male and female swan Bertie and Celia.
So is that why they look so white?
Maybe so, yeah.
And is there a particular time of day that you would go down, or does it vary?
It varies, but from a photographer's point of view, morning and evening the light is much better.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more attractive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is this the first time you've done an exhibition?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I've been involved in small exhibitions with other people,
Yeah.
but not this. This is my debut solo exhibition.
Okay.
And Omni Park are giving me a lovely unit for this exhibition. I think people are going to really enjoy it because it's spacious and comfortable and luxurious.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to seeing it myself. But the sort of thing there, I mean, you take it up as a project, you get into it, and obviously you get a great love for it, both for the work and for the subject.
Yeah, well, I started this project and I didn't know where it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly didn't think I was going to have an exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
And it was maybe June or July last year before the idea of an exhibition came into my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an awful lot of encouragement from friends and family, and more importantly my peers, because friends will always tell you your photographs are great anyway.
Yes, yeah. It's like a lot of the kids you see in the X Factor, their parents think they're wonderful.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I can endorse. I've only just met you today, and I've seen the photographs, and they are wonderful. I can endorse them all the way. So tell us all about the exhibition now, when it is, and exactly where it is.
Okay, it's in the new Fashion Mall in Omni Park, which leads out to the Old Swords Road.
Mm-hmm.
It's upstairs there, right beside the glass lift. So it's the nearest unit. If you go up the lift, it's the nearest unit to you. It's 1,400 square feet, suspended ceiling, wooden floor, white walls. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We're going to have seating. We're going to have plants, and I'll be there almost all the time to meet and greet people.
And it's running for the full
month of March. Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
And times of the exhibition, can people?
The same times as the shopping centre opening hours, apart from Monday, so it'll be closed on Mondays.
So you might as well bring in a camp bed for yourself there.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And the photographs themselves that you have up now, I saw them on the computer there, but will it be all different shapes, sizes, and all that sort of thing?
They will all be the one size.
Oh, will they? Okay, that's great.
Every one of them, the one size, fully framed, hanging on the wall. And I collected them from my framers yesterday, and I have to say, at the risk of bragging, they are stunning looking in the flesh.
And can people buy the photographs? Is that the idea in the exhibition?
Well, the owners of the unit, fair enough, they don't want me to sell the photographs. But if people are interested in buying them, they can buy them from me, but not from the unit.
Okay. But I mean, that's what you're going to get. I can guarantee you that.